Working in child welfare is tough for so many different reasons. In child welfare, we are often asked to do so much under stress, and sometimes with little support, but we find a way to make it work. I know that what we do makes a difference, and that's why I work in child welfare. Despite the challenges, it's been the right career for me. Many of my coworkers and friends over the years have found it rewarding too, but unfortunately, we didn't do enough to keep them in our agency. It's about time that we got smarter about our child welfare workforce. We have to keep track of who and what matters most. Most child welfare agencies don't know very much about their most important assets, their workers. And lack of awareness about our workforce all too often results in a failure to invest wisely in the people who work directly with children and families, and who accept the greatest burden for the success or failure of our services. Though some states and local agencies have begun to collect workforce data, child welfare lags behind many other professions in understanding who their people are and how those people are doing. If we're really serious about improving the lives of children and families, this needs to change. We routinely gather information and assess needs when providing services to families. So what keeps us from collecting data about our workers and investigating how best to support them? Examining turnover is a good place to start. Turnover is the word we use to describe how many people leave their jobs in a given time period. It's important to understand why and when people decide to quit their jobs. One national study suggested that 1 in 5 child welfare workers leave their jobs within 1 year, and that this rate can be even higher for frontline child protective service workers. We also know that for certain agencies, the turnover rates are as high as 30 to 40%. Turnover affects the whole agency and can be part of a vicious cycle that creates job vacancies, leaves remaining workers stressed and overloaded, and leads to future departures. We need to be able to ask ourselves these questions. What is my agency's annual turnover rate? What is the average length of time that a worker stays in a position in our agency? What is our vacancy rate, the number of open positions right now? How does turnover and vacancy vary by position in the agency? Turnover is also costly. Some formulas used to calculate the direct cost of turnover have estimated that it can cost between 50 to 100% of a full-time salary to fill the same position. Imagine an agency with a staff of 200. Its turnover cost per worker is $20,000. Costs can rapidly escalate. If the agency's turnover rate is 20%, the annual direct costs would be $800,000 per year. Agencies can easily find themselves in a constant mode of recruiting, orienting, and training new workers, rather than providing the specialized training and professional development needed to retain experienced workers. What does it cost our agency to recruit, hire, and train a new worker to fill a vacant position? How much does our turnover rate cost the agency each year? But most importantly, turnover has a human impact. It's not surprising that in places where workers leave the most frequently, child and family outcomes can be the most concerning. Worker turnover negatively impacts children and youth because children and families who have more caseworker changes experience more placement disruptions and longer stays while in foster care. They can also experience higher rates of repeat maltreatment and re-entry into foster care. Turnover means the loss of trusting relationships and second chances. What are the consequences of turnover on workload, performance, and outcomes in our agency? How long does it take to fill a vacancy? What effects does a vacancy typically have on caseload size? What is the relationship between turnover, caseworker changes, and outcomes? Understanding turnover rates, costs, and their impacts provide us with an opportunity to investigate reasons workers leave and to identify possible strategies to keep them. We do know some important things already about what child welfare professionals need to thrive. Recent social work graduates are more satisfied with their jobs and likely to stay when they have support from supervisors and peers. strong organizational leadership, opportunities for career growth, and a voice in organizational decisions. This includes providing ongoing training to ensure that workers' skills and practice knowledge keep pace with the needs of their clients. Without data about the types of training and support that our workforce is receiving, we can't investigate whether or how these benefits are making a difference in retention. Agency leaders should have quality data that answers the questions about how satisfied their workers are and how skilled workers are at doing their jobs. Why do workers leave? Why do others stay? What training do workers get, and is it effective? What salary and benefits packages do we offer? How valued and supported do our workers feel? Strengthening the workforce doesn't just mean relying only on strategies to retain current workers. It requires successfully recruiting and selecting the right people for the job from the beginning. Understanding the characteristics of who is applying for child welfare positions and who an agency is hiring can help us answer questions about which types of workers the agency tends to select for employment and explore whether those who leave and stay share similar characteristics. This information may inform future recruitment strategies and hiring practices that could support worker retention, agency effectiveness, and other agency goals. For instance, evaluation findings suggest that professional preparation of the workforce can improve retention and effectiveness. Graduates of programs funded to prepare and recruit social work students to child welfare are more confident, better prepared for work, and stay longer. Educational credentials, years and types of professional and volunteer experience, skills, demographic information, and even initial motivations and expectations may prove helpful to collect from the incoming workforce. We can get smarter about our workforce, but it requires specific efforts to get the right data and information to guide decision-making. Neglecting to explore data about turnover, training, and organizational factors and workforce characteristics has real and meaningful consequences for our workers, the health of our agencies, and the children and families we serve. When it comes to improving the safety, permanency, and well-being of children and their families, our agencies are only as strong as the people serving in them. Public and private child welfare agencies need to put in place data collection and management systems to gather accurate, complete, recent, and historical data on all their workers. This will require strong partnerships and communication between child welfare administrators and state and county human resource staff. It's important that we are collecting the correct data, that we have the right people in place to crunch the numbers, that we have the skills necessary to tell a story about those numbers and to use them to support strategic planning. The promise of a more engaged and stable workforce depends on better data, and investing in the workforce is the smartest move we can make.